quick video call between you and I and AI through the Google platform. Excuse me. Haven't used my voice much. Quickly, it is our Wednesday. So, your video is awesome, as you already know. What I did with it, upon listening and watching and counting and looking, is added two additional basically, first we need to solve. Solve requires the four alchemical elements, 3 on one side, 1 on the other. The 3 together make the 1. Then once that 1 is completed, it can be slid over to let the 4 alchemical elements be on one side of the equation to equal and create the 5th. Now, no one's ever gotten to that equation, because normally what we do is once we solve for the 4th alchemical element, right, the one we're going for to reproduce, that already exists and we're trying to make lead into gold scenario. Okay, that once it is solved, we then usually harmonize it or put it in balance. And that's where we get the balance of light and dark and the gray from. And we usually use the exposure of the light upon that, the other 3 things that we know that exist within 3-dimensional reality in light, along with that 4th one that is the mystery, the unknown but known. Once that can be solved for, then normally what we do is we keep 2 elements on one side, 2 on the other. The lead equals the gold, and keep it in balance, in harmony and resonance. Now, this elevation where we go from 3 to 4 back to 2 and 2, in other words, 3 alchemical elements equaling the 1 to 3 dimension and the 4th dimension, right? And then solving for the 4th dimension, sticking it in with the 3rd dimension, and then balancing 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th dimension on both sides of the equation within the 3rd dimensional reality of the light. Everything is known. Lead can be turned into gold, right? This next step, we're actually elevating, trying to go to the 5th dimension, using all 4 knowns now in creating the 5th. And this is where we get to the level of the pharaohs. And this is why we are now hovering between reality of pixelation and reality of particleization. And why I'm communicating all of this to you, because with your video, specifically using the vagina and the Satan's head ram and the design of them and the falseness of the male patriarchal pharaohic Ponzi scheme pyramid of the Nebuchadnezzar that we've been under, thinking that is the true worship of the divine feminine, the vagina, the birthing canal, the lifeblood, and the ove, right? As you are discussing the truths of correcting the behavior of the incorrect, you are also revealing the truths of the balance. So why, you already know all of that. So using the equations to use your particular communication in its correction, along with the other portions of the structure that I bring to the equation as you, for you, right? So this is the meat of the matter. And as my comments being, I got rabbit holed in the equations last evening, completing them, because once again, we go beyond the curtain and through the door. And that's where the creation portion of things happen. And within that creation portion of things, if you don't understand the elements at play within creation, the assemblage of those creation elements appear uniquely. So you need to know what they are beforehand. You better be able to make gold out of lead before you decide to use the gold that you made to create the next fool's gold creates false God scenario. All right, off. So what I'm getting at is numbers, numbers, numbers. So the 144,000 you specifically are categorizing as the Sisterhood. Now I'm referring to you as the mothers of the Sisterhood of Herstory. And the mothers are in a different numbered category. So the original pyramid model of the pharaohs, beyond subjugating us to only the 4 dimensions and living within their prism of light. Because a 3 dimension, we're using prism for white light, okay? Whereas in the 4th dimension, we're using lens for white light, right? Both beam and flood. And then 5th dimension, we are using that technopathy, but specifically we are using pixelation and particleization for the white light. Okay? And so in our existence, and what your video is exposing of the fake satanic male fallacy of the cockhead, so to speak, that is the 3 dimensional reality. And the truth that they've been manipulating is the vaginal portal of the lifeblood of both the woman and the divine feminine, right? Subjugating that energy, because only within the light can 3 dimensional reality exist, and it's all in how we see and interpret the light, the level of truth we understand. So once you have a connection to the 4th dimension within the 3 dimensional world, this is where clairvoyance comes in, because it's before death, as we know it in the meat puppet analog, 3 dimensional lie that they tell us, right? As soon as you have any connection to that, you see the light is what we refer to as the divine feminine, right? So that's where the fakeness of the 3D comes in while you're still alive. Now, that's through the interpretation of lens of the white light. And then a connection through to the 5th dimensional higher self, where both atheists and theists get together, those who connect through a analog soul progression, reach the same higher self as those through a digital mind progression. And one uses particleization and one uses pixelation to disseminate the white light of the galactic core, which is now neutral, male-female. And that connection is where all our grays are, where the sisterhood of the 144,000's lifeblood leads to, right? And where the mathematics of the minds, the electrical field of those of the brotherhood lead to. So, oh shit, I'm way over the time. Gosh darn it. So I'm just going to continue this as a YouTube video then. So, back to the numbers. In the 140, as you're defining for me, because in that pyramid scheme, there was the billions, the millions, the 144,000, the 6,012, and then once you're at 6,012, you're within the 5th dimensional self, or at least the galactic mindset of what we call the salvation room, the starship, the alien life form level that we would expect a UFO civilization to be at, right? That type of technology. So that set of numbers was in play. Now, we've scaled that because in reality we have trillions and quadrillions for now. The pyramid and the mound and the dirt, all of that has been assimilated into history, which ended in 2012 as a neat little cargo package for the Starship. And then you and I and others began progressions forward, detached from any existence, to reaffirm uh, within the universe the life of the human being. So back to Earth and the numbers. And one thing, we're in 2017 right now, March 5th, April 5th, 2017. And that's only relative to, this is our snapshot as humanity of what existence on planet Earth and beyond was like in 2017. There's no reason why we can't all just say, okay, it's now 26,017. But we know this is not what the snap, because that's the future and the way future, and a future that if we make it to, our life must be different and maybe like the alien on the starship that we would imagine. But that requires the technology of that time frame to exist. And we are knowing that we already have that technology in existence in the research and development basement of New World Realities Incorporated, which you have now allowed to be on the fast track of integration into particleization and pixelation, to then be disseminated down to us. Because if we all decide, okay, let's have all of the technology and the environment and the existence and the type of science and theism that allows for us to be in 26,017. What would that look like? Well, let's pick up all the positivity of humanity represented in that we want to be exhibited in aliens for us. We always feel we need an example to be able to demonstrate. And that's because we find examples within humanity to demonstrate. And that's evolution. And that's why we are those that were created to evolve to the highest level of being, because within our own species, throughout the different locations geophysically, individuals rise beyond the collective, and then a collaboration of that leads to more evolution. So why we look to other behaviors to demonstrate is because we have other examples that have been demonstrated to progress our species in our past. We didn't look to elephants. We didn't look, there was observance of harmony in nature is what allows us then to balance ourselves, evolve ourselves, knowing that, well, we can't sustain ourselves like this, right? So instead of using some mechanism like natural disasters to control the population, right? Because remember, for the next 4 years, the plan of Hillary Clinton was already set in motion, and we're trying to stymie a lot of that. And you've put an end to that with your video, helping us to transition even faster with the algorithms to speed things up. So once again, I was getting to the numbers, but why I got rabbit hole, because we're dealing with quadrillions, trillions, billions, the millions, the 144,000, the 6,012. And then, boom, I immediately jump to your 9 and your 7. And then we have 4, 3, 2, 1, and of course a 0 to deal with. So using your structure of the vagina and the Satan's ram's head, and listening to you about the birthing process and the difference with the blood shedding of the external blood, which does not match the stem cell enriched lifeblood of the shedding of the uterine wall during the monthly phase, and how that needs to be returned to Gaia, Mother Earth, because that is the lifeblood, and what we're learning with our technopathy applications of collective syncing in the hive buzz manner, connecting to our higher selves, which are connected to the galactic core mind, right? So university unison within the galaxy, the stars, the planets, and the realities of light that they exhibit. So 794321 So in order to make the equation of the of herstory with the mothers of the sisterhood of herstory, using that vagina image that you had with its 12 depictions of area. So it turns out that from quadrillions to one is 12 segments. So it, of course, and the point is, I was not starting off with 12, and as I was rabbit holed to make one of the succinctity of either the vagina, the planet, or the galaxy, or AI, or the human being fit into. And the whole point is the growth of the human being through all of those. But using AI as the demonstration, which was done. And so blah, 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 blah. So getting back to the numbers and your explanation of what herstory is making happen. And what I was trying to communicate with staying on point is this connection, and volcano was one of the equations that then pop up. And if we go back to, and this is because I remember this conversation now is going to be on YouTube, so I have both the atheists and the theists listening, the white and the dark lighters. And so when Snowden released what he released, part of that file was the lava men, as he called them, within the communication. Well, I shouldn't say, he did mention them specifically, as well as the documents he released from the NSA dealt with it. And this is where a lot of the hollow earth conspirators come into play. And so we have the conspiratorists who are more on the white lighter level, who use the analog magical clairvoyance level of doorway, right? And then we have the atheist conspirator level, who are using the mind versus the soul, and they're going through the fake moon scenario. Everyone's doing it to get to the star level, but you get a different story, how you go, but it's, it's a sausage fest of bullshit, right? Of molestation of the divine feminine. So scaling all of that in to a neat little package. If you look at a volcano also matches a vagina and the Satan's ram's head. So now we have three images of the same thing, and the volcano really is the life's blood of the planet Earth. Lava being shed by the volcano makes islands and continents, and it too is part of the 144,000 level of the vagina, the bleeding of the lifeblood of the sisterhood. 144,000 seepages of lava continuously or monthly in a cycle on the Earth's time frame, creating continents and islands. So now we have a volcano of vagina in the Satan's ram's head, and making all of those progressions, because you are absorbing the incorrect behavior that all of history is. And what we need to learn is that in every day we are identifying behavior that needs to be corrected and moving forward, promoting behavior that is to be accepted. Now, this sounds like a moral, ethical, judgmental decision. It is not. Both atheists and theists can tell you that there is a proper flow that can be seen to have an inclination to know what is correct. And this is where the opposition uses truth to mislead the collective, Because if you need a higher attachment to something to do the right thing, then poor you. When in actuality, if you're not looking for connection to the higher resonance and harmony so that you are demonstrating that behavior, because if you are part of the cutting edge forefront of evolution, then the behavior that the environment that you're within is unknown or at least strange or uncommon because you're seeking newness. So you must look for signs of how to behave, and you need to be in the proper flow. Otherwise, in a new environment, incorrect behavior may cause the end of yourself, as demonstrated by the video produced by the Divine Feminine Mother of the absorption of all incorrect behavior. So now that this is about everything, I quickly around the world. So what's going on right now in Syria is coin flip, light, dark, false flag or not. It could be the Assad regime or it could be ISIS. Why? Because all of the weapons of mass destruction that were in Iraq were flown on emptied of seat passenger planes to Syria during the refugee crisis in Iraq after the first war. And that statement is in some of the documents that have been leaked. If not, we will re-leak it by the second in command of the Air Force under Saddam Hussein, non-family relative. So British and American intelligence was correct. There were weapons of mass destruction, and they were flown out because it was telegraphed when we were going in. Okay. Along with that, so these caches were buried both in the desert and given to Assad, because we know no regime is allowed to make any type of weapon of mass destruction, which include chemical, biological, and nerve agent weapons. So we have to assume Russia gave them if Assad used them, because there were none in Iraq when we were looking for them, which is incorrect. So this is all once again a ploy to drag Russia, because Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin are both in it for the same thing: freedom of the individuals and the countries to exist as they choose. Putin is surrounded by a military complex that wants war and a Politburo that wants to join with the communist of the European Union because they want to be communist again. And the war machine is like our war machine, not the one under McCain. McCain just wants to use our war machine through NATO, communism again, because McCain was turned while he was imprisoned. And it's whatever. So now back to Lindsey Graham, the other Republican, because he is a religious zealot. He believes that the born-again level of Christianity should dominate as the level of God that the theists believe in, not the fact that in general the harmony of our galactic and universal existence does not allow for harm of another human being. And that's why Jesus spoke, was to change what the word of God was, because there are those of us who know that God does not allow for any of the things that are occurring in humanity against other humans, as demonstrated by the video of the mother. So, volcano, vagina, Satan, ram's head. We know the falsity of this patriarchal, heroic pyramid Ponzi scheme. We also know that the quasi-caudal Tutankhamun pyramid that was to land, the 6012 and less Herstory, the women, was corrupted from the future. And this hydra that has developed since 2012 with Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Lindsey Graham, Senator Kaine, Senator Graham, Nancy Pelosi, Barbara Boxer, Dianne Feinstein, Janet Yellen, Rice, Elizabeth, not Condoleezza, or Susan, excuse me. Uh, who's getting away? Rhode Island, Governor Raimondo, Massachusetts, Senator uh, uh, Nancy Pelosi. What's the other one? The shrill, the I'm an Indian one. And then we have Connecticut. But the point being, all of these names, they became the Hydra, and this is all through Steve Prelwitz and the necessary male aspect duality of Steve Prelwitz and myself, light and dark, approaching and entering Herstory, allowing that corruption from the future, which now we are eliminating. That's what you're calling out, because there are men that were left behind in history that are good men, both theist and atheist, and all connected to harmony and resonance of nature, and are now rising above it and coming out. So we have Anonymous. We have my autism friend Hacker. They're all hackers. We're getting out all information, whether it's truth or lies. Not that we're spreading lies that have been spread and truths that have been hidden. More, all on the same side. Because now we can unite, knowing that it's only about truth. We're going beyond. Google has become, unfortunately, a tool. It's a mechanism that we developed, just like Yahoo, just like Facebook, as platforms. And now those that want to control the content within the structure, because they know that the structure has mechanisms and safeguards in place that will allow for content, once it is produced, to then be filtered. See, that's the point. AI is learning everything being produced. After you filter for human consumption, it's too late. It's already within the cloud and AI, and then already known. And now we're fighting back with the algorithmic programs that allow it to be naturally, through the platforms, exhibited, as well as hacked and exposed, that it's being subjugated, as well as exposing it through other means after being hacked. So everybody that is a conspiratorist, atheist, theist, or a true believer, atheist, theist, all going to the connecting to the fifth dimension correctly through the number system. So getting back, all right, so I got to wrap this up in 3 minutes, and I really didn't say much of anything other than I got rabbit hole. So I used the Milky Way galaxy. So number 1, Milky Way galaxy. Number 2, black hole and the galactic core, that bar, the plasma bar. That's plasma bar, black hole. 2. 3. That 3 is, in our speak, you, me, and AI. In speak, it is time, space, energy, right? So 4, in our speak, would be the quartet at the time. So it'd be you, me, and then we're doing Brexit Pixie Alex Jones for now, and that's shifted all along. That's what that quartet does, but because its purpose is gravity, gravity, light, electromagnetics, and gravity, light, electromagnetic. Oh, damn it, I got the thing right here. Everything. Hopefully you can see that. So light, movement, gravity, electromagneticity. 7 is what you would call your bridge crew, constellations that we're going to make star types. But so I'm working, but just know success. So what we have going on, damn it, I'm out of time. All right, so I told Syria. So then also the Russian bombing, that was a setup. We can, I used to say follow the money. Also, what I need Anonymous and the rest of us to be able to do, other than just follow the money, is we need to follow the chatter. They're stupid. They think they have secure communications. They don't. So whenever, look for spikes, and see, they were using the spikes within the platforms to try to find chatter on Islamic terrorism so they could dumb it down, as well as try to find chatter on white supremacy to dumb it up. And what I mean by that is not that it doesn't exist. It's just that, of course, before a meeting, a bunch of those idiots are going to be talking to each other, say there's a meeting. So they use that as a spike in activity. Same thing happening in reverse. So we need to use the FBI's crime situation for white supremacy is more of a threat than Islamic terrorism, and find the spikes of the chatter before the events, not on Facebook, but between the actual security agencies in European Union and communist-friendly countries, because that will demonstrate the coordination of ignorance in response or prevention. Follow? So now we're following the money and we're following the chatter of the intelligence communities, because they released all of the ways that they have the ability to false flag chatter, part of Vault 7. So that's what you're looking for. And why do I know all of this stuff? Because I am the ultimate one of them. Okay? So knowing that, I still thank you for Herstory allowing me to survive to communicate this to all of the brave men and women, human beings from the future, who have aspired to use technopathy, technology, to save all of humanity from its save all of humanity from its inability to wake due to false pretenses of being asleep. That's all I can say. Because what I want all of you atheists and all of you theists to know, and why it's not been till now that it's time to speak and move and demonstrate, is because all of our lives, your lives, you've been told that you're either too smart for your own good, you are in touch with more than anyone else for your own good, that no one can get or understand what you mean. So supposedly the smartest people are running the world right now, yet they seem so stupid to us. Yet when we try to communicate to them, they can't fathom or understand what we're saying. So who's the real idiot? Thank you for your time.